Howdy, hey YouTube! We're back for another Transformers unboxing. And last week, I did Galvatron, and I said, you know, he's a pretty big character, but I mentioned that I had a feeling by the size of his box that he wasn't going to be the exact scale of all my other guys. So I was really excited about him, but also not because of that. So I revealed him a little earlier in the sequence of robots I have in my possession right now than I would have normally. I would have put him near the end as a bigger character, more important character. But like I said, that size difference made me not as excited about him. So I kind of did him first. So now we're kind of downshifting again in starting with some smaller characters, and we're going to build our way up to some bigger and better characters by the time we get through these last half dozen or whatever I have in my possession right now. So today's character is actually, Transformers was really, well, I think probably all toy lines and cartoon series back in the day for their next season would introduce a new wave of characters just to keep the show interesting, but more importantly, to sell more toys, have more toys out there that kids would go berserk about and want to buy. And yes, the strategy worked very well. I'm a big time victim. I'm a victim of that strategy. So after the Transformers movie in 1986, so there was season 1, season 2 of Transformers, and then the movie. Season 1 and season 2 especially were huge seasons. Those two seasons contain, I think, like 90% of all the episodes in the whole Transformers series. Because after the movie kind of came out, and then season 3, and then I think there was a season 4 that was really short, took place after the movie's events, but they were really short in themselves. So characters that were introduced in the movie or just after the movie in the series didn't really have that much time left in the series to make as much of a mark as all the characters that were in the series for the first 2 seasons and then into the movie, whether or not they survived it and went on or not. But they got much more screen time, much more fleshed out their characters than characters that were introduced in the movie and beyond. So today's character is one of those characters that was actually introduced in season 3 after the movie had concluded, and I found a really hard time getting footage of him. He really didn't appear in that many episodes, and I couldn't even find any speaking lines that he had. So this is kind of one of those unboxings that's a little bit curious and also kind of boring, because it's like this character really isn't that well known, and he didn't really feature into the series hardly at all. So, but without further ado, let me introduce you to him. He is an Autobot, and his name is Swerve. Or Slick, if you will. There's the picture of him. So Swerve was a basic redo of the Gears character. Gears, I unboxed him a while back. He's a blue and red, like SUV pickup truck kind of thing, and he was a really grumpy kind of character. He was part of the whole, I'm not sure if they were originally called mini-cons, but those mini robots that each side had, actually I'm not sure, maybe the Decepticons didn't really have the mini-cons. It was only really the Autobots, like Bumblebee, Cliff Jumper, Cosmos, Beachcomber. There's tons of them. Huffer. Swerve was one of those, but he was kind of a second or third wave of the mini-cons that came into this series, like I said, after the movie. So not much left in the series when he came in. And like I said, he was a reissue of the Gears character. They're G1 toys, identical, just a different color scheme, and maybe a few little different details here and there, but basically pound for pound the same mold. And this is basically very similar to the Gears character that I unboxed a while back. They're by the same company. They're by Bad Cube. So now, in terms of Swerve, I didn't really have anything to say about him on my own because, like I said, he wasn't in the series that long. So I think his character was more fleshed out in comic books and stuff like that. So I just kind of looked him up and kind of read over his professional bio. And so basically, from what I read, Swerve he's lacking in self-confidence, and he makes up for it by being very happy and smiley and, hey, how's it going, outgoing, jokey, laughy, that sort of thing with all of his Autobot comrades. But like I said, this is just covering up a severe lack of confidence in maybe his abilities, who he is, whether he belongs in this war, whatever it is. He's supremely overcompensating by his personality. In terms of his proficiency in being an Autobot, his name is Swerve because he's just as much of a menace when he's got a blaster in his hands to his allies as he is to the Decepticons, and also he's prone to crashing when in vehicle mode. So that gives you a little indication of why he's kind of named Swerve, right? Now, I'm going to show you a clip right now. 2 clips spliced together from an episode called 5 Faces of Darkness Part 5, which was part of Season 3. I think this is where he was actually introduced. Like I said, he gets a little bit of action in the animations, but he doesn't have any speaking lines. And you may recognize this footage because I used it, I believe, for when I revealed the big Decepticon fortress that turned into a T-Rex Trypticon. Because there's a lot of really good Trypticon footage in this, and I know I've used it before, and I'm just thinking right now it was probably for my Trypticon unboxing. So you may recognize this footage if you've watched my previous videos, but unfortunately, it was the only footage I could find of poor Swerve. So let's take a look.
Let us see if all goes well on Earth.
Powerglide, the Intercept Squad. I've spotted the Decepticon battle platform, and it's a doozy. I'm being fired on. I'll transmit its coordinates now.
I've got his transmission. The battle platform is headed directly for Autobot headquarters.
Then bam! Let's prepare the ambush. It'll be passing above us soon. Wait for my signal, and then bam! We'll shoot it straight up the belly. Now! Climb the hill and we'll blowy blam! Finish them off!
Powerglide, damage report.
You gave it a good trashing, Pipes. It's smoking and... Oh, no! It's got another transform! A reptilian mode! Pipes, alert Metroplex! We have no choice, boom, but to make our stand here, wham!
Autobots, we've got to hold that thing off till the cog arrives. As Optimus Prime used to say, transform and roll out.
Charge! Constructicons, let us join the battle! What's the point? We're superfluous!
Yes, Trypticon's just gonna give him the big stomp.
Okay, monster, let's see how you like the old 1-2. You can't do that! Ow! Try and swat this! Pow! I don't fucking believe it! It never stood a chance, boy.
And without the transforming cog, neither does Metroplex.
Yeah, so there you saw all of those mini-cons. Like you saw Bumblebee in there. I think Beachcomber was there. Pipes was there, and Outback, and a couple of others. Warpath, the main one, the tank that was leading the charge. So those are all the mini-cons. Some of them were more OG, like Bumblebee and Warpath was maybe a second wave. And then you had a few of them like Pipes and Swerve and Outback that were later on. Actually, Outback might have been a second wave, not later, but I can't remember. But we may be visiting him later on. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, you saw all those mini-cons teaming up to try and take down Trypticon. Didn't work out so well. But yeah, that was the only footage I could really find of any significance for our dear Swerve here. And you saw at the end, it's kind of funny how it ends when he kind of gets tromped by a Trypticon and it's just his head sticking out of the ground, right? So kind of some good footage, even though he didn't have any speaking lines. You know, you basically saw him get gopher hold there by Trypticon. So now, like I said, his G1 mold, identical to Gears. They just reproduced Gears mold. So let's have a look at Swerve's G1 toy. Yeah, so if you remember Gears, you're thinking, yeah, what a good way to make money. Don't even have to change the mold, just change the damn colors, right? So, and the transformation on those original mini-cons are so simple. And actually, in fact, I have Swerve's G1 toy, and he's right here. So yeah, this is the original Swerve mini-con toy. It's basically 4 steps, really 2 steps. 1, fold down both the legs. 2, pull out the arms, and there you have our little Swerve. So, and Gears was exactly the same, just a different colored truck. And his head was a little different mold as well, but for the most part, they're identical besides the colors. So that's G1 Swerve. And yeah, like I said, there really wasn't much to choose from for Swerve in terms of footage in the series. So he was a late addition to Transformers, didn't really get featured that much, but as I'm making my way through all these characters, I'm finding I'm really close to having not all of them, but 90% of them. So I'm starting to look at, okay, what other characters can I get that maybe when I first started this were on my no, I don't want them list, because I'd rather get all my favorites and the originals first. But now that I've got them, or most of them, I was looking at branching out and maybe getting some other guys that were a little outside the box sort of thing. So, and I do have a few of these characters to do. So we're starting to, it's desperate times, right? We're looking for any character I can find to add to the collection. That's kind of where we're at right now. So that is why Swerve has entered the fray. Now, don't get that wrong. I'm happy to have him. I want every friggin' character there is. I want 5 of every character there is. But you know, I had to be very choosy at first to make sure I was acquiring all the guys that I really wanted first, and then worry about all the others later, sort of thing. So I am happy to add Swerve to my collection. And with that being said, let's take him out of the box, see what he looks like, and then we will go ahead and get him transformed. All right, Bad Cube Slick, or Swerve, if you know his real name. Now, I do have a few Bad Cube characters in my collection. Like I said, Gears was one. I believe Warpath was Bad Cube, and I think Huffer as well. I'm pretty sure on those ones, and there could be some other ones too, but those are the guys that I remember for sure. When I'm finally done collecting, or close to done collecting, I kind of want to do a bit of a summary and just see the proportion of you know, Bad Cube versus Takara Tomy versus X-Transbots versus Unique Toys versus KFC Toys, you know, all the different brands. See how the kind of proportion, you know, broke down sort of thing. But there's still much collecting to do. I mean, I'm obviously on the back side of it all, but there's still some work to do. Let's just say that. And I am up to the challenge. Definitely up to the challenge. All right, so here he is, Swerve. We have, Jesus. All right, we have, as per the usual, a set of instructions, a character card, and 2 character cards. I'm not sure what that's all about. I don't remember if Gears had that or not, but hey, 2's always better than 1, right? And as for the man himself, here he is. He's looking pretty slick. Pretty slick. And he comes with an extra head. Oh, look at that. It's like a look of shock. Oh, that's probably after he got tromped by friggin' Trypticon. That's his Trypticon face. And he comes with a blaster, of course. So very simple, very small character. Like I said, he was a Minicon, but very glad to add him to my collection. And so let's swap over to time-lapse mode and turn him into a truck. Okay, so Swerve. And for good measure, OG Swerve. Lots of good things to like about this character. He seems really well put together. There was no loose joints. It doesn't seem like anything's really that flimsy. The transformation was relatively easy. There was a couple little parts that it wasn't hard to figure out what to do. It was just little parts that you had to finagle with a lot. So it was more difficult, not in the interpretation, but in the actual execution. But overall, fairly easy transformation. When it got to the vehicle mode, I remember it being very similar to Gears's, where it looked pretty good. The truck came together pretty good, but there was just something, it was packed in a little too tight. It was a little bursting at the seams, so some of the things weren't quite aligned because they were having problems staying all tucked together. Whether that's a design flaw of the toy itself or a design flaw of myself and not being able to do it properly, I don't know. But everything was very similar to the whole Gears experience because, like I said, with the original ones and these ones, they're the same mold, just different colors and a little bit different details. Now, in terms of the detailing on the actual character, I really like how they've executed him. He's plain, he's simple, he looks identical to how he looked in the cartoon. And the Bad Cube ones of Gears and Swerve especially, excuse me, the details on the wheels are possibly my favorite part about these two robots. They're really well detailed with the little lug nuts and kind of the little spaces in the rims. These look like 80s rims on cars that I remember, and they're very well detailed. And to me, stuff like that is always, I always like that kind of stuff. Those little details that just take it from like what is pretty cool to what's like really awesome, right? And rims for me on vehicles seems to be a big sticking point. You know, you see somebody driving like a friggin' Viper down the road and you're like, oh my God, look at that thing. It's perfect, right? It's amazing. And then you see the exact same car with a stupid pair of rims on it. And it's like, go drive that thing into the fucking lake, right? Because it looks ridiculous. So little details like rims to me are very important. So when I see something like this on a Transformers toy, I go, mwah, bravo, right? So yeah, I'm really happy with the Swerve character. There really wasn't any real cons to this character. I got him for a good price too. Like everything about this is, yeah, zen, to quote Wayne's World. I'm not sure if that's the actual interpretation of excellent in whatever language it was, but that's what it gets to me. Love it. Meow.